Hey lovely people out there, how are you all doing? This is your Star Guide Nikita and welcome back to Nikki's Star Guide YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss the retrograde motion of planet Jupiter in the sign of Pisces that is going to take place on 29th of July 2022, and Jupiter will be retrograde in Pisces only till 24th of November 2022. So without any further ado, let's get started and analyze how this important movement of planet Jupiter is going to impact each one of us depending upon our ascendant and moon sign. So stay tuned till the end, and if you want to take a professional consultation from me regarding your horoscope, then you can send an email to nikkistarguide@gmail.com and you will find the details in the description section. Now, what exactly Jupiter in Pisces does, right? Jupiter is in its own sign since April 2022, even if it's in good dignity, but we have to understand one thing, that Pisces is the natural 12th house of the Kalpurush Kundali. So it carries the energies of the 12th house, which is all about letting go of something in order to gain something else, right? Because it's 12th from the ascendant, that is the first sign, that is the sign of Aries, which means that if we want to gain something in life, we must let go of something else. And that is how this transit is going to work for each one of us, depending upon what houses Jupiter rules in your chart and the house significance where the sign of Pisces falls in our chart. So now Jupiter in Pisces is great in terms of spiritual realizations, self-realizations, spiritual practices. It's great in terms of indulging in some kind of fantasy world, something that seems to be otherworldly, but we have a strong innate desire to do that, to make it a reality. So it's good in terms of these things, but when it comes to the mundane reality or something that we want on a physical plane, that's where Jupiter in Pisces can be a hurdle. No matter where the sign of Pisces falls in our chart, we are meant to work on the inner engineering part of that aspect of life. So suppose for a Taurus rising native, the sign of Pisces falls in the 11th house, that is the house of income, right? Liquid money, routine income, and that's why the Taurus rising people will be occupied during this transit, working on the inner engineering part of their finances, of their social circle, of their ambitions, what they want to achieve and how they want to get that, right? So that's how Jupiter in Pisces works. And when Jupiter is about to go retrograde in Pisces, now our focus will be shifted back to the Aquarius sign significance, because remember, when a planet goes retrograde, it make us focus on the house and the sign that is previous to itself, as well as where it is retrograde. And that is why now our focus will be shifted back to our societal duties, our finances. We will be forced to look at the mundane reality rather than just indulging in the fantasy world. So Jupiter in Pisces was also a time where we love solitude, we were more dreamy, or we were having creative ideas in our mind. But now as Jupiter goes retrograde, it is about to make us well equipped and experienced in the areas of life that is represented by the sign of Pisces, wherever it falls in our chart. So one thing we have to understand, that Jupiter is going to go retrograde in the Nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada, the Nakshatra ruled by planet Saturn. And Saturn, if you notice, Saturn is retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, and from there Saturn will aspect this Jupiter with its third aspect. So now what does this implies? It indicates that when Jupiter will be retrograde in Pisces is the perfect time to declutter our subconscious blockages, right? The Pisces is the subconscious mind, and Saturn represents karma. So now when Jupiter will be retrograde in Uttara Bhadrapada, it's time to take a plunge into clearing our subconscious blockages. So I'm going to keep this introductory part crisp and short, and just remember one thing, that Jupiter is here to make us well equipped and experience about the significance of the areas of life wherever the sign of Pisces falls in our chart. So work on the inner engineering part, travel a lot, maybe meet new people, learn from new people, try to release the boundaries around those areas of life. So just understand what holds you back and work on it, and you will be able to make the best of this significant movement of planet Jupiter while being retrograde in Pisces. So now let's start with our ascendant and moon sign analysis. For the Aries ascendant and moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the 9th and 12th house of your horoscope, and Jupiter is all set to turn retrograde in the 12th house in the sign of Pisces for you all. Now once the 9th and 12th house ruler goes retrograde, one thing to notice here is that Aries natives will be working on releasing certain boundaries as well as forming the new ones. They will be learning to release certain expectations that they had from themselves and from other people in their life as well. With Jupiter entering the 12th house in the month of April, the Aries ascendant and moon sign natives must be learning to let go of certain expectations that they had from the people around them, from the situations, or from their own self. Now this Jupiter once go retrograde, they are going to contemplate on the certain amount of expectations or what kind of reality do you want in your life. So this is the perfect time period to work on your belief system, to work on energy management. This Jupiter is gearing you up for the next year's blessing when it comes over your ascendant or when it will transit over your moon sign. So now this is the year when you will be working on the inner engineering part. You will be working on changing your belief system. There is a need for better energy management, better resource management. There will be changes in your belief system, principles, morals. There will be more long distance travels, overseas travels can be involved. There can be expenditure of energy and resources on attaining new property or getting a new house, or this is also perfect time period to learn something new. If you want to erase some of the memories from life, if you want to work on your subconscious pattern, sleeping pattern, then this is the perfect time period when Jupiter goes retrograde in your 12th house. This Jupiter will make you strike a balance between the 11th house and the 12th house significations. But remember, the major thing that you need to be aware of and mindful of is you must be clearing the subconscious blockages which are causing hindrance in your career, in your public image, the kind of public image you want to have in the world, the way you want others to perceive you. You must be mindfully working on the same during this Jupiter retrograde period. Overall results will be dependent on where Jupiter is placed in your chart and if you have any other planets placed in the sign of Pisces and the dasha that you are currently undergoing. For the Taurus ascendant and moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the 8th and the 11th house of your horoscope, and now Jupiter is about to turn retrograde in the 11th house of the sign of Pisces. So now once the 8th and the 11th house ruler is retrograde, what does it imply? It implies that Taurus natives are about to go into the mode of introspection, self-realization, and they are going to work on the inner engineering part of all the 11th house significance. So which means that if you were concerned about your finances, if you were not able to save up more money, or if you were not able to generate more income and resources, then this is the perfect time period to experiment with the same. It's time to assess your stream of income, where you are losing money. Think of all the ways in which you can earn more money, and the focus should be on experimenting with the creative ideas, being creative, but at the same time striking a fine-tuned balance between the practical reality and doing the groundwork and setting up yourself and your path for the success in long term. Here your focus should also be on forming good network circle, having useful and resourceful friendships which will help you in the future. And this Jupiter retrograde in 11th house will make you well equipped and experienced in terms of all the 11th house significations. So remember, there can be sudden expenditure as well with 8th lord and 11th lord being retrograde. There can be some concerns about your father or his health or his career. So any advice given by your father or your gurus should be taken into consideration. You have to understand one thing, that this Jupiter retrograde in 11th house is asking you to experiment with the 11th house significance. So take a look at what needs your attention, what needs that spark of creativity, right? Because Jupiter will aspect the 5th house from the 11th house. So check if you want to get enrolled in any kind of course in order to increase your income, feel free to do that. If you have to travel a long distance to increase your stream of income, don't forget to do that, because the planetary alignments are as such that will help you embark on a journey of more financial freedom, more resourcefulness. Risky investments should be avoided during this time. Play it safe when it comes to investing money, but be in experimentative mode when it comes to generating more resourcefulness in your life for yourself and when it comes to the streams of income. Overall results will be dependent on your personal horoscope and the current Mahadasha that you are undergoing. For the Gemini Ascendant and Moon sign natives, the retrograde period of Jupiter is going to take place in your 10th house of horoscope. Jupiter is the ruler of your 7th and 10th house, and it will be retrograde in the 10th house in the sign of Pisces. Now it implies that there is a deep need of taking a plunge into career aspect of your life. You are about to face and go through a new turn in career. You might be feeling as if you are on the crossroads in terms of career and life path. So for the Gemini natives, this is a sure shot combination of bringing a solid concrete change in your public image, in your career. So make sure that you are making the right choice. You are listening to your gut instinct, because remember, Jupiter will be retrograde in the nakshatra of Saturn, that is Uttara Bhadrapada, and Saturn is currently retrograde in the 8th house. Saturn also indicates career. So for many of the Gemini natives, this is a sure shot combination of a change in career. There will be some kind of change in perspective in terms of how people look at you or you look at people and the way you deal with public. So this combination of Jupiter retrograde in 10th house is helping you set on a new path, on a new road completely. So make sure that you are making the right choices at the right time and you are listening to the gut instinct, right? So you have to work on enhancing your gut instinct, making it more positive and in your favor. And there will be a newly gained wisdom in front of when it comes to public dealings, business dealings, or if you are some kind of into teaching professions, or if you are into IT, software, creative industry, spiritual businesses, consultancy, or any kind of media work, then this is going to be a important time period for you. So there will be many opportunities thrown at your way during this time in terms of career. Choose wisely. Make sure that you are not taking any decision hastily and you are thinking about the long-term effects. And then this career change, this experiment about the career is going to be in your favor. So play it safe, make new choices, but do not get into hard commitments for a long term. That's how I can suggest the Gemini natives to make the best of this transit of Jupiter retrograde in Pisces. Overall results will be dependent on your personal planetary placements and the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing. For the Cancer Ascendant and Moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the 6th and the 9th house of your horoscope, and now Jupiter is about to turn retrograde in the 9th house in the sign of Pisces. Now one thing here, the Jupiter coming to the 9th house, it must have been a good time period for all the Cancer Ascendant and Moon sign natives so far since the April 2022. There are new opportunities coming your way, but now suddenly when Jupiter goes retrograde in the 9th house, it shows that there is a need of being in experimentation mode in terms of your routine life, in terms of your job. If any of you were waiting for some kind of transfer or relocation or if you don't want that to happen, but this is the time period when these things may take place. So you have to be well prepared, well equipped about these things, and do not forget to be in experimentation zone when it comes to your job, or especially if you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or if you are into teaching profession, any kind of consultancy or advisory work, or if you work with or for government, then this Jupiter's retrogradation mode is going to be a crucial one for you. Because remember, Jupiter is retrograde in the nakshatra of Saturn and Saturn is retrograde in your 7th house. So a lot of new information will be thrown at your way and you have to be curious enough to take whatever is needed and make the necessary changes in your belief system, in the knowledge that you already have, and then let the rest of it go away. And that's how you will be able to make the best of this Jupiter retrograde period. There is a need of traveling, there is a need of learning new things, being receptive, being mindful, being open towards new changes. There is also need of taking good care of your father's health. And just like Taurus Ascendant and Moon sign natives, you too must listen to your father's advice. Traveling a long distance place to visit a pilgrimage is also a great and suitable remedy for all the Cancer natives during this time, and it will help you realize certain things. Remember, Jupiter in Pisces will make you let go of certain beliefs that were holding you back, and the new information will be reaching out to you during this time. So make sure you are working on your spiritual practices, you are maintaining a good routine, you are experimenting with your routine, and that's how you will be able to make the best of this time period. Overall results will be dependent on your personal chart and the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing. For the Leo Ascendant and Moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the 5th and the 8th house of your horoscope, and now Jupiter is all set to turn retrograde in the 8th house in the sign of Pisces. One thing for the Leo natives I can state here is that once Jupiter entered the 8th house of your horoscope, you have been going through some kind of tough time period. Even if you felt like there is a need of taking control, taking charge of certain aspects of life, you were somehow unable to do that. And this placement also indicates that there is a need of going through death of ego. There is a need of understanding that the 5th house ruler, that is the house of intelligence, is now going retrograde in the 8th house of unknown, which means that there is a need of letting go of the control issues. There is a need of letting go of what you always thought is right? Because the house of intelligence is, the ruler of the house of intelligence is now going retrograde in the 8th house of transformation. So let that transformation take place in your life, in your heart, in your mind, and do not feel or do not have this need of controlling everything. Just go with the flow. Take good care of your educational matters, especially for the students. They have to be pretty disciplined with their creative ideas. If you are a business owner, if you are into teaching fields or any kind of work that requires research, then this is the time period when you should be open to receiving new information. You should be open to changing your perspective about the sudden events that has been taking place in your life. Once Jupiter goes retrograde in 8th house, there will be more sudden events taking place, but there will be more and more deep inner self-realization taking place in your life. So whatever damage has been done in your life till now, with this Jupiter coming to the 8th house and Saturn being in the 6th house, being the Nakshatra ruler in which Jupiter will be retrograde, you have to make sure that it's time to manage the energies, the pace of the events taking place in your life. You need to be more disciplined in terms of your routine life. Make sure that you are staying optimistic and up to the mark as per your own personal life goals. And keep on deep reflecting upon your habits, upon your life, and you need to polish your skills, and eventually this Jupiter will make you well equipped about the unknown significations and fears of your life. Overall results will be dependent on your personal planetary placements and the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing. For the Virgo Ascendant and Moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the 4th and the 7th house of your horoscope, and Jupiter is all set to turn retrograde in the 7th house of the sign of Pisces in your chart. So when the 4th and 7th lord is retrograde in the 7th house itself, it shows that the Virgo natives, the time is to reassess your partnerships, your business dealings, your public dealings. If you are married or if you are in a relationship, in a committed relationship, or if you are having any legal issues, then this is the time period when you have to have a mindful attitude towards these things, and you must be shifting your outlook, your mental outlook and perspective towards how you perceive the world, and how the world perceives you will be changed along the way. If you're planning to get relocated, or if you want to travel abroad, if you want to go on a overseas travel, then this is the perfect time period for all the Virgo natives. There are strong chances of relocation for you all. If you are married, then there is a need of dealing with your married partner, with your marriage, in a mindful manner. Make sure that you are not being opinionated, rather you are listening to your partner's advice, rather you are taking time to reflect on what kind of principles and morals are acting as a foundational ground in terms of your marriage, your married life, as well as your business dealings and partnership. One thing, if you notice, is that Jupiter will be retrograde in Saturn's Nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada, whereas Saturn is currently retrograde in the 5th house of your horoscope in the sign of Capricorn. So it implies that there will be a lot of responsibilities around your progeny, or if you are a student, then your education, and if you are married, then your married life will require your efforts. You should be in an experimentation zone, and you should be willing to work on making the necessary change in order to make things right in your life, for yourself as well as for your partner or for your child. Remember that 7th house is exactly opposite to the 1st house of self, and that is why you will be meeting, you will be coming, you will be facing a lot of new and uninvited circumstances in your life during this time. So do not panic, do not be fearful, rather take on these opportunities with a pinch of salt and learn whatever comes your way, whatever is thrown at your way. And the people you will be, new people that you will be interacting with this time, are going to be a great source of learning for you. Overall results will be dependent on planets in your natal chart and the current dasha and antardasha one is undergoing. For the Libra Ascendant and Moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the 3rd and the 6th house of your horoscope, and Jupiter will now turn retrograde in the 6th house of the sign of Pisces for your chart. Jupiter being the ruler of the 3rd and 6th houses, which shows kind of a challenging part of life, it indicates that now there is a dire need of you all to work on your routine life. You have to make sure that you are being mindful in your routine life, when it comes to your sleeping pattern, when it comes to maintaining a solid routine. A spiritual sense should be there to your routine during this time. This Jupiter will make you well equipped in terms of health matters, in terms of travel, if you are planning to travel abroad, if you are abroad and you want to get return to your motherland, then this time period will be most crucial one for you. There is a need of working on your courage factor during this time. Remember, the courage must be shown under the right circumstances and most importantly in a right manner. And that is what the Libra natives will be learning during this time. There will be more past life events occurring in your life. You will be dealing with your pending karmas when the 6th lord will be retrograde in the 6th house itself. So do not panic, do not be fearful, rather take this opportunity to learn, to teach yourself how to deal with the sudden events of life. And the more you will take time in solitude, the more you will spend time on your own, the more stronger your spiritual practices are, or the more you will focus on yoga, meditation, spirituality, or taking a good night's sleep, the better this transit of Jupiter retrogression will prove for you. Make sure that you are taking good care of your mother's health as well as your own health, especially the health related to stomach region should be taken care of during this time. This is also a great time period to get relocated, as I mentioned earlier, and there is a need of bringing some change within yourself. If you were having any conflicts related to property, real estate, then this is the time period to take it slow, take it easy. Make sure that you have gathered enough facts before making any of the big decisions such as purchasing of property or investing in real estate. If you can wait for a few months, then that would be better. And the overall results will be dependent on your personal planetary placements and the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing. For the Scorpio ascendant and moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the two of the most benefic houses in your horoscope, that is the second and the fifth house, and Jupiter will now be retrograde in the fifth house of the sign of Pisces in your chart. Now it indicates that there is a crucial time period for all the students out there, for the people working in the teaching professions, banking, software, or in kind of consultancy work, the people who are into creative writing industry, or even if banking, then this is the time period when all the Scorpio ascendant and moon sign natives will be assessing their finances. They will be assessing and managing their resources, their wealth assets. So when the Jupiter is retrograde in the fifth house, there is a need of being mindful about not making any hasty decisions in terms of investments, especially if you are dealing with crypto or stocks. Then try to play it safe. You will be in the experimentation zone, but make sure that you have gathered enough facts before taking decisions which involve high stakes. So there can be big decisions made around finances, around your career, around your progeny. If you are planning for a childbirth, and if you are a female and if there was a problem in conceiving, then this is the time period when you will be given the necessary information. You will be reaching out, or some kind of source will reaching out to you in terms of it can be a person, or it can be a book, or it can be a video which gives you the necessary information. So look out for the same, and you will be given an opportunity. If you have progeny, then you will be given an opportunity to make your connection with your child stronger than ever before. So there can be a good news coming your way about your child, or if you are working with the government, then this is also the time period. If you are planning for a promotion, or if you are looking forward to getting a new role at job, then this is the perfect time period when the opportunity can knock at your door. So make sure you are looking forward to that. This is also a time period which is significant in terms of your younger sibling. So make sure that you are giving time to bind well with your sibling, with your neighbors, or with the people from your childhood days. This will also give you some important insights about your upcoming future. There is also need of working on your skill sets, hobbies, and the deep reflection is also needed in terms of these aspects of life. Overall results will be dependent on the natal planetary placements as well as the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing. For the Sagittarius ascendant and moon sign natives, Jupiter rules your first house of self and the fourth house of home, and Jupiter will now be retrograde in the fourth house of the sign of Pisces. So this is for sure a crucial time period for all the Sagittarius ascendant and moon sign natives. You have to get ready to embrace the change on the familiar front. There will be a change, there will be a sudden urge to travel, to shift the home, to get relocated. So you have to act mindfully and accordingly. You have to honor your own desire, but you should also strike a balance between your family's needs, your familial values, and your current desire in this present time. Because remember, Jupiter is retrograde in the Nakshatra of Uttara Bhadrapada ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is again retrograde in the second house of values and family. And that is why there is this intense connection being formed between your homeland, your need to relocate, your need for a change within your home environment, as well as striking a balance between your familial values. You might invest on some kind of home decor during this time, or if you are looking for selling a property or buying a new property, the new opportunities will be shown to you, new doors will be opening up. There is also a possibility of buying or selling the vehicle, and there will be a deep sense of changing something within. There is a change in the life path that will be initiated from the inside, and especially within your home environment. So make sure that you are paying attention to it, fix your anchor correctly, and then navigate the life circumstances around that. What you can and what you cannot adjust with should be fixed during this time, so that this Jupiter in fourth house will make you experiment while being in a safe zone. and not completely going out of the way of your life. Overall results will be dependent on the natal planetary placements as well as the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing. For the Capricorn Ascendant and Moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the 12th and the 3rd house of your horoscope, and now Jupiter is all set to turn retrograde in the 3rd house of the sign of Pisces. So it implies that there is a need of taking control on the unnecessary expenditure of your energy, resources and your time on the things that were not adding anything beneficial to your life and your personality. There can be sudden travel plans of a short distance. You might get into contact with people from the childhood days and they will give you some kind of message. So pay attention to the messages that you receive, the signs that you receive while you are traveling, while you are dealing with neighbors, or while you are meeting your childhood friends. And that will help you refine your own personality. Because remember, Jupiter is retrograde in the Saturn's Nakshatra, and Saturn, being your ascendant or moon sign ruler, is retrograde in the sign of Capricorn itself. So this is actually a very, very crucial time for all the Capricorn ascendant and moon sign natives, because Saturn and Jupiter together will make you go through this final round of correction and revising things that will make your life better. So during this time, if you feel like indulging in some kind of childhood hobby of yours, the skill of yours, then do not forget to get on board, and that will help you become a better person. The more creative you are, the more you read, the more you talk to people, the more receptive and open you are, the more honest you are, and the more you work on your negotiation skills, the better this results of Jupiter retrograde in the 3rd house of your chart will be for you. And it will also define how much progress you will be able to attain during this time. If you were having any issues with your siblings or with the people living near you, or with the friends, or with your work partners or colleagues, then this is the perfect time to take control of these things. Be in the experimentation zone, take safer risks. Do not go for any high-stake decision. Rather, tame down your ego, learn to mold your ego and express yourself correctly during this time. This is how I can sum it up, the transit effect for the Capricorn natives. Overall results will be dependent on your natal planetary placements as well as the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing. For the Aquarius ascendant and moon sign natives, Jupiter rules the 11th and the 2nd house of your horoscope, both the houses of finances and wealth. And Jupiter is now turning retrograde in the 2nd house in the sign of Pisces in your chart. Now, one thing if you notice is that both the adjacent houses are getting activated from your ascendant or moon sign, that is the 1st house of your horoscope, which means that this is the time to harness your energies, your values, your background, your understanding of life, your experiences of life in order to become a better self. That's how you will gain control over the losses that have taken place in your life till now. And this is also a crucial time period when it comes to being more resourceful or taking efforts towards becoming more resourceful in the future. So I would suggest you to not take up any loan during this time, or try not to lend your money to other people. Rather, investing in share market or buying new shares or selling the shares and getting benefited from the same. Or if you are into crypto, or if you are into stock market or into real estate, then especially into farming, then this is the time period when you can get benefited from the same, or you can invest into these means for your future benefit. During this time, you have to gain control over your finances. You have to take a good look at the expenditure. There is a need of making some changes in your food eating patterns. If you are having any problems with the familial life, on the familial front, or in terms of investments, then you will be finding the solution. You will be reaching out to the right kind of people under the right kind of circumstances. There can also be some expenditure on the member of family in terms of their health, and that is why you have to be mindful of where you are spending the money. There might be a need of you investing or purchasing a big home appliances, or you want to have an addition in your family, some kind of thing that you love the most, and that is why you end up taking a hasty decision. So just make sure that you are being mindful about your finances, about your expenditure, and you are investing. If you are spending the money, then invest it for the better future. Overall results will be dependent on your natal planetary placements as well as the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing. For the Pisces ascendant and moon sign natives, Jupiter becomes an overall important planet for you because it rules your self, that is the first house, and the 10th house of career and your public image. And now Jupiter is turning retrograde in the first house of your horoscope. So overall, this is one of the most crucial time period for all the Pisceans out there. There is a possibility of overall change in the outlook, in the way you experience life itself, in the way you see yourself, or in the life path, even in the career. Big changes are on the cards, so make sure that you are not getting panicked. Remember, this Jupiter retrograde in your ascendant or on top of your moon will make you well equipped and experienced in terms of how you relate with others, how you relate with yourself especially. So be in the experimentation mode. Explore what your gut has to say. If you were somebody who was always aggressive, who was always impulsive in terms of taking life decisions or dealing with your career matters, then during this Jupiter retrograde period, you will be doing the opposite of it. Means you will be having more surrendering attitude. And if you were someone who was having more surrendering attitude, you were more laying low kind of person, then this is the time period when you will be experimenting with your energies. You will definitely be doing something opposite about your lifestyle, about your personality, about your in terms of your career during this time, being a Pisces ascendant especially. And for the Pisces moon sign natives, this is a time period to reflect on certain things and see where you are losing your energies and how much you are gaining, because Jupiter is retrograde in Saturn's Nakshatra and Saturn is your 11th house ruler, retrograde in the 11th house itself. So make sure that you are having a fine-tuned balance between how much work you are putting in and what are the outcome and benefits that you are receiving for the same. So be curious, be mindful, form new ideologies, do not hesitate to try out something new, listen to your gut instinct, and working on the finances and self will put you in the long run. Overall results will be dependent on your natal planetary placements as well as the current Mahadasha and Antardasha one is undergoing.